and he wasn't even fighting the choke. I don't understand how you can get into that level in the UFC and not know to fight hands.
Exactly.
And that's what was so kind of fishy about it.
We will be your worst enemy. We will immediately go after you, guns ablazing, with the FBI and whoever else we need to get, and we will do everything we can to make sure you go to prison.
Now, his betting line started to drop dramatically about 24 hours before this contest, to the state where so many people were piling in and betting on him losing in the first round.
In round one, or even in the loss to Christian Rodriguez, had a 10-8 scorecard in his favor. All of a sudden, the guy doesn't know how to defend a rear naked choke.
People are preying on lower level fighters who are in tough spots, who are fighting in the major leagues, and they're offering them a quick fix.
It was supposed to be just another Apex prelim. No crowd, no promotion, just another fight on a pretty much quiet card. But on the morning of the event, something happened that nobody could explain. Isaac Delgarian entered Fight Week as a -300 favorite, almost a 3-1 pick to win. His opponent was Yadir Del Valle, and he opened as a +250 underdog. Everything looked pretty much normal until the bets started coming in. Just hours before the fight, sportsbooks noticed a surge of money, not on the favorite, but on the underdog. And not just Delgarian winning, but Delgarian winning in the first round, the most unlikely outcome of the entire matchup. The betting line didn't just move, it violently flipped. Delgarian, once a big underdog, suddenly became the favorite. Large bets came from newly created accounts. Others dumped thousands on the exact same outcome. Some sportsbooks shut the fight down completely, and by the time that the fighters were wrapping their hands in the back, the total amount of money placed on this one prelim fight had exploded to $16 million. $16 million. On a bout that no one was even watching. Something was very wrong. The UFC reached out to the fighter and his team, and they asked if he was hurt, if he owed money, or if anyone had approached him.
We called the fighter and his lawyer and said, what's going on? There's some weird action going on in your bet, weird betting action going on in your fight. Are you injured? Do you owe anybody money? Has anybody approached you to, and the kid said, no, absolutely not.
If he knew anything that was happening, he needed to tell them, but he just denied everything. Then the fight started. Seconds in, Delgarian, he shot an awkward takedown. He fell to the mat and he just never recovered. The bout ended almost exactly how the suspicious bets predicted. The UFC said that they walked straight backstage and called the FBI.
The fight plays out, and first round finish by rear naked choke. Literally, the first thing we did was call the FBI.
Within 24 hours, the fighter was cut. His purse was frozen, and federal agents arrived at the UFC headquarters.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning, but then we just had an office full of FBI agents in here. So, if you try to do this, I've been very vocal and very open about this. We will be your worst enemy. We will immediately go after you.
That single fight cracked open a door the UFC had closed for years. But the truth is, this scandal didn't start that night. The real cause began long before, buried inside the UFC's own system. To understand how this all happened, you need to understand how UFC fighters live. A new UFC fighter typically earns $12,000 to show and $12,000 more if they find a way to win the bout. $24,000 for a debut victory. But almost none of that money stays theirs. Managers take a cut, coaches take a cut, taxes hit hard, travel and medical expenses add up, and a proper training camp with sparring partners, conditioning, and nutrition can cost roughly around $15,000 to $50,000. When the dust settles, many fighters walk home with only a few $1,000s. Some even lose money prepping for a fight that they end up winning. Meanwhile, the UFC earned more than $1.3 billion last year. An internal study, the Mercer report, revealed that fighters receive only 18.6% of the total UFC revenue. To see how shocking that number is, let's take a look at some other sports. NBA players receive 50% of league revenue. NFL players receive 48%. Tennis athletes receive 23%. Boxers receive 62.5% of the event's revenue. Compared to every other major sport, the UFC's 18% is by far the lowest. This creates a dangerous reality. Fighters are unpaid, financially unstable, and they are vulnerable.
I'm doing all the work. That's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to support a family with this, and I think they should put some type of clause, like 3 or 5% of what you make goes to the fighter. So that's how I think they should do it, because we're the ones putting our lives on the line. We're the ones, sacrificing everything, training all day long, losing a social life, all that type of stuff. So
Some live in gyms, some borrow money just to train, some take fights injured because they can't afford not to, and some quietly listen when someone offers money to win or lose. This pay problem didn't just frustrate players, it created the perfect opening for corruption, and eventually that opening was exploited. After the suspicious fight ended, the response was immediate. Sportsbooks refunded bets, Nevada froze the fighter's purse, and the UFC cut him the very next day. But what happened next was even more shocking. Fighters began speaking up. Some said that they had been approached before by gamblers offering money to throw fights. Some fighters, they mentioned offers in the tens of thousands. One fighter said that he was offered around $100,000. Some fighters deleted their posts. Some denied that they were serious. Some changed their story afterwards.
You're seeing things out on the internet where like fighters are coming out and going, "Oh, I was approached. Really? Why didn't you tell us that? Or more importantly, why didn't you tell law enforcement that you were approached? Now you're saying that you were approached? It's really weird that fighters are coming out now saying they were approached.
But privately, journalists confirmed these offers had been happening for years. This wasn't just a one-off. It wasn't isolated. It wasn't random. It was a pattern, a slow, quiet pattern of outsiders targeting fighters who were being underpaid, overlooked, and easy to influence. The Apex scandal didn't create the problem, it just exposed it. And to understand why this scandal exploded so quickly, well, we have to go back to 2022, the James Krauss incident. Krauss was a respected coach and also a former fighter. He also openly promoted sports betting. Then one night, one of his fighters showed up injured. Large bets came in minutes before the fight. The line moved in a way that just made no sense. It looked almost identical to the new scandal. The fallout was huge. Krauss was banned from the UFC, his fighters were suspended, sports books pulled UFC bets, and an official investigation began. That investigation is still active today.
So when this did happen, a couple years ago, whenever it was, that investigation is still ongoing and now will be a part of this investigation too. The IC360, which is the best bet monitoring company in the business, we've been with them for years, and we get a report after every single fight that we do. We've been with these guys for years. We take this very serious, and we're watching every single fight that happens in the UFC, from the first prelim to the main event.
And according to Dana White, it has now been combined with the new case. This doesn't mean Krauss caused the new scandal, but investigators, they noticed familiar patterns. The fighters at the center of the new scandal had indirect ties to Krauss's network years ago. Some fighters who spoke up, then retracted their comments, were managed by the same groups that once worked closely with him. Even some gyms involved had overlapping histories. Nothing at this point is proven, but the similarities were too strong to ignore. And when scandals share patterns, investigators dig deeper. Most sports are hard to manipulate. Football and basketball require whole teams. Tennis matches face heavy scrutiny. Boxing fights at the top level involve massive oversight. But MMA, well, MMA is different. One fighter kind of controls everything. A fighter can change a result with one poorly timed takedown, one exposed neck, one claim of an injury, or one moment where they simply just stop fighting back. Millions of dollars can shift on a single action. Low-level UFC fights, especially at the apex, are ideal targets. No crowd, little media, minimal attention, and fighters who desperately need money. It's the perfect storm, a one-person sport with low pay, little oversight, and massive betting markets. The scandal wasn't surprising, it was kind of inevitable. After the story exploded, the UFC pushed back hard. Dana White insisted that the company had no involvement, that they contacted the FBI immediately, and the problem was limited. But he never answered the real question. Why didn't fighters report these approaches earlier? Well, the answer is simple. It's out of fear. Fighters in the UFC are independent contractors. No job security, no union, no guaranteed fights, no guaranteed income. You speak up at the wrong time and your career can end overnight. So fighters stay silent even when approached, even when threatened, even when offered money to lose. The UFC didn't create that fear, but the environment makes silence the only safe choice. And that silence allowed the scandal to grow unchecked. Integrity monitors later revealed that suspicious MMA bets have been appearing since 2021. Small red flags, small movements, small changes, and moments that were ultimately overlooked. But now, the situation is different. Fans are questioning everything, every collapse, every awkward takedown, every strange submission, every moment that just doesn't add up, and also every odd referee decision. And once fans stop trusting the sport has a problem larger than any scandal. MMA only works if people believe that what they are watching is real. If that belief fractures, then the entire foundation begins to crumble. The UFC stands at a crossroads, not because of one bad fight, but because of what that fight represents. The scandal didn't start with bad actors, it started with a system where fighters are earning too little, have too few protections, and carry too much financial pressure. If the UFC wants to protect the sport's future, then things must change. Fighter pay must increase, revenue sharing must rise, oversight must be independent, and fighters must feel safe reporting suspicious behavior before they step into the cage. Because as long as fighters can earn more money losing a fight than actually winning one, this problem will always come back. The Apex scandal wasn't the end, it was the warning. A warning that the UFC can no longer ignore. Whether this becomes a turning point or the first of many cracks in the system, it's now up to the UFC to fix all of this. This is one of the biggest integrity questions the UFC has ever faced. As investigations continue and more details surface, we'll be right here breaking everything down for you guys. And if you guys found this video interesting, then hit subscribe, drop a comment down below to let us know what do you think about this entire scandal. Do you think it's the start or do you think it's the end of incidents like this in the UFC? Let us know down in the comments, guys. Give this video a like. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, and guys, I will catch you on the next one.